What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for another episode of The Long Dark. We're back in the saddle with the next iteration of our How to Interloper rerun. The last one ended kind of on bad luck, honestly. I read a lot of the comments, and a lot of the people were like, well, clearly you should have known that there's 3 wolf spawns right there. I'm like, yeah, but they're scattered around through the map. The chance of all 3 of them being right there at that time was pretty minimal, and so I filed it off as a statistical anomaly. Obviously, that came back to bite me in the ass, obviously. But, you know, sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go. We got curtains and stuff over here. I honestly have no clue where I am inside this room right now. I took a couple days off of recording, so I think I'm just going to wait for the sun to come up. I don't remember where I went to sleep at. We'll get some sunlight in here. There we go. Oh, we're up in this little top room. Okay, well, let's have a quick look at our gear and kind of see where that's at. We are reasonably okay right now. We're not in great shape. We're not in the worst shape ever. I'm going to harvest these for the leather parts real fast. We're going to let ourselves starve at the beginning. This is no longer a viable strategy. Well, I mean, it's a viable strategy. It's perfectly fine for, like, long-term to run the starvation strategy, but they did add an incentive to not do that anymore. So now if you keep yourself fed and you don't starve for 3 days straight, you'll get a bonus that allows you to carry 5 more kilograms, which is actually pretty good. It works out pretty well. The reason I'm going through and fixing all my clothing right now, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't end up, so let's say we get attacked by a wolf or whatever, I just don't want to end up with any of my gear getting eaten off of me. I would prefer to keep that as like a non-factor. So that's kind of what we're focusing on right now. All right, so we've got those reasonably well repaired so that if anything goes wrong, we should be all right. We've already picked through this place, and we've already picked up all the water out of the turlets and everything else. I will say that I'm very much enjoying the Steadfast Ranger update as a Long Dark fan. I've been putting a lot of hours into this one on Twitch TV. I think we're about 20 hours into our stream playthrough, and I think we're on day 40 or 50, and things are going just majestically. I have no complaints. There's some crackers over here. They were moldy, though, weren't they? Yeah, until we find antibiotics, that's a risk that I'm not really willing to take. It sounds like we've got some inclement weather outside. I was hoping we would dodge that. I took a chance repairing our gear. So let's just, like, hang out for a minute. We'll tear down some curtains. We'll kind of get this place cleaned up, and we'll wait for this blizzard to go away. Now, there is a chance that the blizzard will not go away. Pleasant Valley is known amongst Interloper players for having, like, super terrible weather that can sometimes last far longer than you want it to. Oh, my underwear is all busted, too. Yeah, let's fix up them undies. You got to make sure that the loins are properly girded, and so let us gird them. This is also a perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable opportunity for us to get some tailoring XP as well. I'd like to get my repair. Oh, it busted. Okay. So I guess we don't have a sewing kit anymore. That's no longer going to be an option. We will shed some of this stuff because I don't want to be carrying around too much weight with me. The extra tools and everything are nice, so I'll hold on to those for right now. As far as our food goes, we do have cattail stock, so apparently I had the foresight to grab some cattails on the way over here, which was actually a smart play, so kudos to me for making a smart decision. Clothing is looking pretty good. We've got antiseptic, we've got some books and some other things going on, but really kind of stuck for right now. Kind of stuck. As much as I would love to get on out there, the weather is just terrible. It's absolutely awful. How bad is this blizzard? Is it a clear day blizzard or is it a full-on whiteout? Let's look. It's full-on whiteout status right now. So we probably don't want to go too crazy running around in this weather. This is pretty nasty. From what I recall, I think we probably already hit up the basement, but we can kind of scour some of these outer areas. We got some rabbit left over right there for dinner, too, which isn't a bad option. That sounds pretty good. I'd like to catch a few more rabbits if I can, but I don't think they're going to be out in this weather. Let's go ahead and isolate a little bit more wood. Sounds like this is going to be a long-term blizzard. That's what it sounds like to me. We're kind of getting to that point in the day where if the blizzard was going to go, it would have already gone. So that worries me. That concerns me very, very greatly. I mean, we can give it another hour and see if God flicks the switch. but he ain't flicked the switch, so I think we're stuck doing what we're doing right now. We're just gonna have to hang out here for today. I wasn't planning on getting stranded here. I would have preferred that not to happen. It's a waste of matches, and I'd like to make my way to the next zone over. But, you know, sometimes these things occur, and you just gotta kind of work your way around them. It is what it is. Being adaptable is kind of something that you need to practice and be good at if you're going to be playing on Interloper. Like, you can make plans, just be aware that those plans are not always going to go the way that you wanted, and sometimes you're going to have to vary up the theorem a little bit in order to make everything copacetic and click together like pleasant little Legos. We'll probably just chillax here for the night then. I don't know if I searched the car over here. I'll go ahead and rummage through it real fast and see if we can find anything useful. There's a book. I mean, I don't want the book, but there's a book. Could be better. Could be worse. Were we able to get into the trunk? We were not. All right, I don't want to lose sight of the farmhouse right now. It's very, very easy to get disoriented, even for an experienced player in a blizzard like this. It's not as bad as a thick fog day. Thick fog days are definitely worse, but this is still kind of a situation I'd like to avoid. We can't get into the silo. I don't know if anything spawns around it. Oh, there's a dead deer back here. We've also got some rose hips. The dead deer is a temptation. A temptation that I don't know if I want to go after, but what I will do right now is I will get all these crow feathers. I love having 40 or 50 crow feathers by the time I craft the bow. That way I can carry as much ammo as I want to carry. Keep myself nice and safe. We will be playing this game probably once or twice a week. I won't update it too frequently. It's just kind of one of those things that, like, this game is not super popular anymore, but it is a game that I tremendously enjoy, and I know you guys, there's a core group of everybody on the channel that enjoys watching me play it, and so I try to, you know, revisit it every now and again, just so you can get a little bit of that stuff that might have actually introduced you to the channel way back in ye olden days. We have the magnifying glass. Did I ever get a torch? I don't have a torch, but I can take one out of here after we give this a go. So we've got a book. Use the accelerant. I don't want to waste a match right now. Perfecto. Alright, so we'll use some of the reclaimed wood right now to kind of get that moving. And then I would like to take a torch, so there we go. We will save that for later. So that goes inside my inventory. The function of the torch, in case you didn't know, is that with the torch, what we're going to be doing with it is we're going to be using it to light fires so that we don't waste matches. Torches stay lit and they are reusable whenever you try to light a fire. And so it's usually a pretty good idea. There's a little bit of rabbit meat right there. It's usually a pretty good idea to kind of keep one and just kind of utilize it whenever you can so that it only costs you one match to make a fire. Ideally, we'll only be lighting fires whenever the sun is out, but sometimes I get lazy and I have like 100 matches and, you know, I live like they're going to last forever and I don't worry about it. I've got my survival kitty with me right now. He's in my lap. He's overseeing, making sure we stay nice and safe. Actually, he just sensed that there was a fire somewhere and he wanted to sit next to it. If I gave you God's honest truth right there, I'd bet you that's what it was. Ain't nothing kitties like a fire. Those of you that have ever lit up the fireplace before know that cats and dogs both enjoy lounging lackadaisically next to the fire if they can. Let's go ahead and eat some of this. It's not a lot of calories. It's not going to be enough to get us through the night, but it is something. I mean, it's food that didn't cost us anything to get. And so let's go ahead and we'll mash out a couple of these guys right here. Maybe drink a soda. Now, these things are weighty, and so I tend to drink my sodas early. We got lots of water, which is great. Normally, I run into water issues while I'm over here, and I end up boiling water a lot more than I would prefer to at a given time. But there you go. We're not going to sleep through the night. This isn't even remotely going to get us close. So we're going to have a little bit of an overhang first thing in the morning where, yeah, I mean, the moon is still up and still doing its thing right now. I don't like waking up in the middle of the night like this if I can help it. The reason being is that, like, it's just a waste of time. It really sincerely is. It's a giant, grandiose waste of time. So we'll wait it out right here for a second. Big waste of time and resources. And if we catch another blizzard today, we're going to have to make a hard decision about what we want to do. Another blizzard right now would definitely be less than satisfactory. I would not be okay with it. And we did catch another blizzard. Man, they are just not letting me get out of this zone right now. They do not want me to escape. Well, I guess I'll wait it out until we can leave and do something. So give me a minute. Okay, so in the evening, it's finally decided to grant us a reprieve, a stay of our sentence trapped inside this place. It's still a little bad out here. It's still not good. We might get a little bit chilly, but I gotta make a move. We can't hang out there anymore. Like, we've been at this location for far too long. Well, the wind is unfortunately in the direction that we're trying to go right now, which is a fat bummer. We're trying to go up. If you look real close, you'll see a radio station up there at the top. It's basically like a weather station. There's a guy up there. They usually leave a letter that you can read if you wanted a little bit of lore and backstory as to what that location is. As I understand it, it's a weather station. Where a couple of guys up there, or one guy up there, sits and monitors the weather. And apparently they have issues with cabin fever up in that location, if you read the lore. I was hoping the weather would be a little bit clearer, but I guess the weather is not a little bit clearer right now. What we will attempt to do, though, is go bunny hunting. They made the hitboxes super large on these now with this update, and so bunny hunting got a lot easier for those that review that are struggling with like acing bunnies in the head. It got a lot easier. Back when I used to play the game, you had to headshot the rabbits on Interloper. You actually had to hit them in the dome, or otherwise the rock would bounce right off. Apparently that counted too. I didn't think that it would, but hey, I'm not going to turn down a good thing. We got a couple more rabbit bodies over here we can play around with. Unfortunately, we are quite stinky at the moment, so we're going to be attracting all kinds of wildlife. If you're looking for the easiest way to access that point right there, getting up there is the easiest if you actually climb a rope that's always deployed on that side. That's usually the way that I do it when I'm attempting to get things done. If we have to, we'll leave bait on the ground in order to protect us. There shouldn't be swells of wind coming down right here. That rock wall right there would block it IRL. I'm hoping this weather, though, like, stops. Let's go ahead and see if we can get up over this hillside and make this happen, because we are extra strength chilly right now, and I would rather not be. It's very unfortunate that the wind decided to hit us from the direction that it was in, but I'm guessing the game knew that we were probably going to be heading here as our second location, and so it decided to set us up with a little bit of a fun surprise. And by fun surprise, I mean, damn it, this blows. There's the rope right there. You can see it. I'm trying to conserve my energy right now if you're wondering why I'm not sprinting. I don't want to burn out my energy too hard trying to get over there. Otherwise, we won't have the energon crystals remaining in order to get up the slope. Alright, so there's a bear about. We're going to want to be careful about that, but I think I should be able to sneak by because we're not downwind. Well, now we're downwind of him, but before we were upwind. I am going to grab these rose hips. You never know. I like to have all kinds of artisanal, random native medicine available just in case things go wrong. Now let's climb up before we lose any more HP or we lose any more carrying weight due to the fact that we have a big climb in front of us, so I don't know if we have the energy levels to actually summit this. We may cut it a little bit close. You can see that meter. It is tangibly falling off right now, like by measurable distances. I think we should be okay, but damn if it ain't close. There you go. Get up over that mountain. I believe in you. You can do this. Tough it out, my guy. Tough it out. And look at that. The wind changed directions on us again just to make this experience as unpleasant as possible. I, too, love walking at 1 mile per hour. So if you're wondering where you go, just follow right. So if you just follow these rock piles on the right of the climbing rope right there, it'll take you right over to the tower. And by the time you get up to the top of this guy right here, you should be good to go. I don't have any bandages or painkillers, so unfortunately, they've added a new mechanic. The sprains work differently now than they used to. I think both systems are, like, equally obnoxious. So, like, I don't really have a preference. The old system of randomly spraining your ankle, I mean, it's pretty much the same system. You still basically just randomly sprain your ankle when going up inclines, which is basically the way that it worked before. The only difference now is that it puts a little red triangle on screen whenever you're walking on an incline that might inspire a strain. And so at least you know now, I guess, that you're kind of like in that danger zone. You've got kind of like an indicator. I actually don't know if they even changed the system or if they just added an indicator. I'll be honest with you. The old system, You broke your leg when you walked on inclines. This system, you break your leg when you walk on inclines. Like, you know, not that different. Grab some of these. Very nice. Now, we may get lucky. And we may get a crowbar over here. We didn't. There used to actually be a static spawn for the crowbar in this spot, but they removed it with this patch. And so now the crowbar is much more common in other places, but it shows up right there much less. So, like, you know, kind of a 2 steps forward type deal. It makes the world more robust and interesting. We can't get into these lockers, which is a bummer because these lockers tend to have really good stuff inside of them. Not this time, I guess, but sometimes. Not this time, but sometimes. We got some coffee right there. Sounds good. We got some Pinnacle Peaches and some sardines. At least we got dinner for the night. Open this guy up and see what we find. We got a can opener. Okay. And a book. Some wool socks. Usually there's better clothing spawns up here. So I had actually thought it was static. I thought that there was always a pair of boots up here. And then usually some other kind of high-tier gear as well. Apparently that has changed, or I was just incredibly lucky like the last 9 times I played the game, and I just got good loot up here. I don't know. Either way, we got a whole bunch of food, so that'll last us. That's about 2 days worth of food that we just picked up, which is nice. And we've got rabbit on us, which means we can extend that out a little bit further. I'm probably not going to be focusing too heavily on bunny furs and stuff like that just yet. We can get those on other maps, and it's not going to be that difficult. And so, like, whereas I know, like, some of the people that are hyper efficient at this game would already be, like, tanning bunny hides and whatnot and just hanging out here for a couple days till they're done. I'm not that guy. I don't bother with it. I just don't. Let's get our bunny meat up off these guys. Unfortunately, both of these were pretty skinny rabbits. Bit of a disappointment. This guy's a little bit thicker, so maybe we'll get something off of him. There we go. A little bit more of a fatty bunny right there. So we've got about 2 kilograms of meat. Yeah, that'll get us through the night. That'll get us there. I'm okay with it. Let's go outside and make a fire, and let's cook up this dinner. We got ourselves something that we've pulled from the earth. Not too bad. Oh, look at that. The sun has decided to come out. That's actually really, really good. Is there still coverage right there? I'm just making sure. We're going to magnifying lens up right now so that we can save a match. So we had a lot of bad luck today, but we also had like some fortuitous turns. We got to start a fire for free, and that's never a bad thing. Never turn down a free fire in the long dark. Anytime you get a free fire, you should absolutely use it. You should go through, you should make some water, you should cook some food. Basically use up the full duration of the flame before you go to bed because it was a freebie fire. Make it a good one, you know? Sometimes as you get further into the game, you're going to have issues where you don't light a fire for several days, maybe even a week in a row, due to the weather. This time around, I'm pleased to say, that's not a problem. While that's cooking, there's usually a dead body or something around here. We can go look for it. We can see if it's around. I mean, we should probably warm up first. Cedar burns very, very warm. I don't really have any energy to be like sprinting around and acting all crazy. So we're going to have to kind of slow boat our way around for a minute. Maybe we'll find something over here. Sometimes there's like a deer. Sometimes there's a dead guy. I don't think I've ever found anything good on the dead guy. But this time around it looks like the spawn is not present. So, no dead guy, no deer. That's okay. I'm happy for the fire and the comfort that we have for right now. Finding little creature comforts is very important in a survival situation just to keep your mind focused on the task at hand. Any of those moments where you can like truly relax and just sit there and kind of unwind for a few minutes is important to your mental health, which is a big part of survival. Go ahead and cook these bad boys up. Want to make sure that all this meat gets done. Wind done changed directions on us. It has a tendency to do that. That's one of the few mechanics in the game I don't really like, is that it feels very gamey to me. So anytime you're like in cover, the game actually checks to see if you're in cover from the wind, and if you are, it'll actually swap the wind to a direction where it's forced to hit you. And it's kind of one of those little gamey things that breaks my immersion a lot of the time. It's one of the only complaints I have about The Long Dark, is how the game actively checks and then changes the wind direction just to mess with you. It's one of those things that it just feels gamey to me. It makes it feel like a video game instead of like, me just hanging out, surviving, and being all immersed, I guess. It is there to keep the challenge up, though, so that's fine. It's not a thing that bothers me, like, tremendously. Like, it's just one of those things that every time it happens, I'm kind of just like, game, what's going on, It's kind of like a OU type deal. I was planning on making some water with that fire, but I guess we'll just have to be wanting for a little bit. I suppose that's the way she goes, Rick. I probably shouldn't have harvested that before I slept. That was probably a mistake. Now I gotta break out a soda. It's alright, though. Anything that tangibly reduces weight is fine by me. We'll get a nice beefy sleep in. This should probably get us the majority of our HP back from that nasty climb that we had. I probably should have thrown that stuff on the floor too, just so it started to cure like a little bit. We have about 1 day's worth of water left right now, depending on how we choose to use it. Go ahead and rip this guy open too. There we go. So we got rabbit pelts and a few other things laying around. I will probably throw on the wool socks. That needs to be repaired very, very badly. Like, it's kind of on the precipice of falling apart on me, and I'd rather not deal with that. So we've got that back up to 81%. Those are at 85. Mittens are looking good. Everything else is looking stacked. Ready to go. We're not having any major issues. That gave us an extra 0.5. It's not bad. It's worthwhile. We'll sleep for a couple hours to get our energy level back up. We are going to lose some HP right there, but like, meh. What do I look like? A guy who prepares for things? It sounds like we've got okay weather right now. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Let's extract ourselves from this location about as rapidly as we can. Oh, we got sunlight. Look at that. It's a sunny day, Calais. Oh, we do have a dead guy. I think he's down the cliff, though. I don't really want to risk that. It's always a chance you're going to break your leg when you start fiddling around with cliffs like that. Let's go for a little bit of a walk. We're going to climb down the mountain and see if we can get ourselves to a better position, I suppose. I'd like to. That was my one hiccup per episode that I always get hit with. I don't know why it happens. I get one hiccup per episode every single time. Oh, there's a sapling over there. Man. Alright, you can start tempting me, huh? It's a maple sapling, too. It's one of the ones that I want. So this guy right here, very good for making survival bows. This is one of the rarer objects in Interloper, so anytime you see one, my suggestion would be that you take a minute to go get it. You need one of those, and you need 2 gut to make a bow. And so having 6 or 7 of those just cured and ready to go so that you can make a bunch of bows and just swap them out as they break is a good idea, because your ability to hunt is basically the direct limiter on your ability to survive in the Long Dark. I almost said Tarkov. We're going to head right back to where we were. We're going to climb down the rope, and then we'll get back on the road. We're going to try and make it down the road to a new area of rest. It's going to be a big barn house. We may find something good over there. We may not find anything good over there. So far, we've gotten pretty hard skunked on high-tier gear here on Interloper. And so I'm not going to hold my breath, but that if it's not here, it means that the good loot is somewhere else. More than likely in Milton would be my guess. In my experience, if the good loot is here, it's not in Milton, and if it's in Milton, it's not here. But, maybe that's just me looking for patterns and signs. After all, human beings, we are pattern-seeking animals. So we have a problem. We kind of have a problem. And one that I'm not sure how I want to rectify. Well, that may have fixed it up for us. He might be going back to our old location. We got lucky in that he bugged out and aggroed us while we were at the top of the cliff. But it would be in our best interest to be the hell away from here if he decides to come back. So I'm going to focus on that for right now. Alright, so back on the road direction-wise, if you're trying to get out of this zone, my suggestion is just to go out of the farmhouse, get to this road, and take a left across the bridge and follow this all the way down. There's going to be a couple points of interest that you're going to want to hit up along the way that will provide you with a little bit more gear if you're already struggling. There will also be rabbit fields here and there. I don't know if that was a wolf behind the fence over there. I hope it's not. I don't really feel like being chased all the way across the map right now because I'm feeling sexy at the moment. But anyways, there's points of interest, there's places to search, there's things to find. I would recommend you do just that. This is actually the most interesting part of Interloper is when you first start out, in my opinion. That's when you've got like the most things to accomplish and get done with. But once you're all settled and you're just like hunting and subsisting every single day, I think the game gets a lot less interesting. And that's usually when I get out towards like day whatever. I tend to get kind of bored. We'll keep on down the road, and on our left there's going to be a big barn over here, and that's where we're going. Alright, so here's our pleasant little farmhouse over on this side. There's another rabbit over here. And you know my motto. Always be looking for dinner. Lots of deer. So we know for a fact there's no wolves around. And if there are wolves around, they're kind of like far off. Dinked him. That was a good throw right there. That was the money throw right there. That was the good stuff. That was the throw that pays the bills right there. That was the throw that gets the blow. Let's get inside, and we're going to kind of chill once we get there. We're carrying around a lot of stinky business right now, which means that because our meter is maxed out on stink, things are going to come looking for us from really, really far away. Like that guy right there. He's almost inside the radius where he's going to aggro us. In fact, he already smells it. He's going to our last position. Man, if only I had a bow. This is the place to hunt right now. This is the place. That right there is enough food for like 10 days. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We're going to take the side entrance over here because we're kind of having wolf problems at the moment. Yeah, exactly. Inside. God. Well, that's going to be the end of our episode for today. So thank you for joining me for another episode of The Long Dark. This is how to Interloper with Splattercat. I kind of just play it nice and easy peasy. I explain things as I go along. I talk about what I'm doing and kind of the mentality around surviving on the hardest difficulty in Interloper, which I personally feel is the way to play the game. I will see you all later. If you enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. It helps me out as a content creator. I will see you all with something fresh tomorrow. Hi, do, and take care, everybody.